Okay, this is just a quick tutorial on how to create a basic animation in my RetroGen AI software. Um, I'll do a setup one at another time. This is assuming you've got it set up. You've got this batch file here. Double click will launch the program, and it should launch in a tab like a web app, but it's fully local. So this first tab I was just for testing. It's just VQ and clip image generator. We've also got the upscaling and interpolation tab, which I will cover in another video. And the main Pytti animation software is this in here. So you open it and it looks like this. We've got different tabs. There is a lot of parameters. I basically just wanted to pull what the latest version of it was before people stopped developing it into this software. So yeah, I'll just give a basic instruction on how to create an interesting animation. So first I'm going to remove these. These are just added to each scene. You don't have to use it like that, you can write it in here as well technically. So obviously this is the prompt. I mean, this is text, so I'm sure if you're watching this you're probably familiar with how to write a prompt. This is just the same as any other image gen, but there are a few quirks. It's a bit more primitive than the newer stuff, so you sort of have to put in a prompt, but just assume you're going to get the AI is going to sort of take liberty with it, and it's sort of creative what the outcome will be. And also trending on ArtStation is always something that was big on the models back when this was popular. This helps create better images. We don't need to cover any of this right now. Resolution, I'm just going to flip it so it's landscape. The pixel size, this increases the resolution by a factor of this. So the output of this will be, the files will be, the dimensions will be twice this. So close enough to sort of 1080 by 1920. Image model, highly recommend using unlimited palette. I've run into some issues with limited palette, and especially with darker scenes, you get this flickering. VQ is in there as well, but this current version of the software is not built with that in mind as such. You can get generations, you have to set the resolution at a certain resolution, but unlimited palette is the Pytti look I'm going for. So that feels not necessary because we're not using a VQ gun. Yeah, and most of this is for limited palette. There's some extra exposed things here I've done in testing, but highly recommend, unless you really want to get down into it, just leave all these settings as they are, because it's quite easy to derail it. So this is the animation properties. You can select the type of animation. 3D is my default because that's the look I want to recreate. This is important here, steps per frame, so this is how many steps it'll iterate on the generation before it saves a frame. I've got it set as 50, it works pretty well for me. Frames per second is obviously frames per second of the output. I tend to do it low and then interpolate it up so it's around 24. Video path, I'll do another video explaining that. I don't know how functional it was in the collab, but I've got this implemented and I've produced some pretty interesting outputs with it. Okay, so we've got the image motion tab. This is where I spend a lot of the time. If you go into help and the parameter guide, I've got a guide here for the how these motion fields work. They're Python, it's Python math, so depending on how competent you are with that, this is the current system I've got in place for animation. I recommend feeding the manual to an AI and telling it to create the motion. So translate X, translate Y is just up and down, left and right. Translate Z is forward and backwards for 3D. This rotate 3D is really the signature look of the Pytti animation. I'm not going to go into detail on how this works here, but the simplest workflow you can sort of do is ask an AI to create it and then use this render and preview I've implemented. It'll show you what the animation looks like roughly. It's fairly accurate, it's not 100%, but you get the general gist of what the motion will look like using that, and that's exclusive to this software. I haven't, this wasn't in the collab model. Depending on if you want to use a bit more horsepower, you can turn all these on. You can get pretty good outputs just from this one though. And then the output, this is similar to the one up here, steps per frame. It's just telling you how many steps you should save the frame at. I reckon keeping it as is. And you can also put in specific properties with the JSON, but I've created this UI so you don't have to bother with that. Steps per scene, that's how many steps you want total for the run. Kind of have to calculate how many that produces. 12 frames per second, each frame is 50 steps. I'm not sure, I can't do that off the top of my head, but I'm going to run this animation and we'll come back and look at it once it's done. Okay, so we've got the generations finished. If you've got FFmpeg successfully installed, it should show automatically here. If you just have a look at the preview motion compared to the actual motion, it's pretty similar, so it is accurate. For managing the files, if you go into the Pytti service and the jobs, I've got them organised by date created. This is how I access. So you've got the clip, each frame, and then you can take that, do what you want with it, upscale it, put it into After Effects to put a few finishing touches on. You also get the settings file, so which you can load from up here. You can also restore if it stops halfway through. You click on restore, select it, and then you can continue generation. So that's the basic how to make a output. Cheers.